That's fine. This is our first time doing a live, and I'm so excited today that I get to do this podcast, more like a podcast. Later on, we'll see if it's going to be an office hour, but I'm super excited to get to have this conversation with my friends Reagan and Tracy. Tracy and Reagan, say hi to everybody.
Hi,
Hello, thanks for
guys.
joining.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, we're so excited.
Yeah. So the thing that actually bring all three of us together are kind of unbelievable, and also it's kind of crazy because yes, all of us were friends in Owners Club. For people who know us from Owners Club, hello. um,
Hello.
we all know that each of us has our superpower and have our focus, right?
Hmm.
Me myself, I focus on creative business acquisitions. As of today, we have acquired multiple businesses creatively. And Reagan, Tracy, we all know that Tracy focused on co-living, and she had massive success on co-living. Reagan's, we all know, midterm rentals queen. Um, the other day we were just talking about the thing, on how we can scale to a level where we provide even more housing, provide even more impact to
Yeah.
the people that need housing. And coming up from Tracy's perspective, co-living, which is something super important, and from Reagan's, the midterm rental, also bringing a massive value. So um, we, like, three of us basically come together and talk about, okay, say if we were to buy a multifamily, what would the operations look like, and how can we massively increase value for a multifamily? So, Reagan, you want to just chime in and talk about, how we come to this ideas and what
Sure.
your thought are?
Well, I sure I would love to talk about that. And it's interesting because, I find that all of us visionaries in Owners Club, we spend a lot of time together. We're learning the same things. We're kind of continually developing ourselves. And we've all, like we're not normal. That's the thing, like not in a weird way, but we all just think and function and operate in kind of a different plane than most people do, because I think we don't see the limitations that a lot of people see. And so a lot of people would look at multifamily and think we can do A or we can do B or maybe we can do C, but we see a lot of other opportunities that are there. And so that's what I love about, anytime I have a conversation with someone else in Owners Club, just like the two of you that I both know and respect so much, that, when you put all of that together, I mean, that is the epitome of synergy. And that's what we've got going on here. And, again, with so many others in Owners Club. So we all also want to invite others in Owners Club and beyond to kind of, be a part of this conversation, because, when we put the three of our superpowers together, that's pretty awesome. But there's room for other things too. There's things we don't have covered that very much factor into the operations of any multifamily property, the financing part, the operations, and I mean, you think about vertical integration, just like Benjamin, you've got, of course, laundromats already, but you've had a cleaning company in the past, you've got a lawn company. So all of those different things that factor into what it really takes, that full 360 to do something like this and to do it at a high level. So yeah, I think, really it was just a little bit of a supernova as we started talking about how we could bring together all of these different superpowers that we already have, and really use them to complement one another.
Absolutely. Like, we literally have, I think, one or two Zoom before this. We
Yeah.
talk about the concept. We came up with some great ideas. And honestly speaking, if we were to just think about, oh, we're going to do it just quietly, low key, without anybody knowing, and just win big ourselves, we could, but we choose not to. We basically wanted to share this thought because we think this will bring a lot of opportunity, not just for us, but also for the entirety of the community, maybe even for people outside of the community who are interested in real estate. Tracy, you want to chime in with your, superpowers, talk about what you have done and what people should know about you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Well, I mean, I'm just so grateful to be part of this conversation. And as Regan, as you had just mentioned, it, and Ben, we could keep this to ourselves, of course, and just go
Mhm.
about our business and do the thing. But it's all about the collaboration, and it's easy as a visionary to um we see the bigger piece of this. We see where it can
Mhm.
go, like you said, the vertical integration. There's so many aspects where we can bring people in and support, not just creating strong businesses and strong business models, but the housing opportunities for people, as we
Mhm.
know. And I feel like every time I talk about housing insecurity, I'm saying we're at an all-time high. I've never been able to say, oh, we're seeing a change, we're seeing a difference, because it's so dramatic. The need is so dramatic. So the more people that can bring their ideas, their values, their experience to the table, the more opportunity we have to tackle the housing crisis. For me, I dove into co-living because I loved the idea of having
Mhm.
a home that was sitting there that nobody could touch. Just, it's been on the market for 200, 300 days, 2 years, for crying out loud, because nobody could touch it, because the owner, they're upside down on the property, for example. And so
Mhm.
you can take a co-living asset and you're putting 8, 10 people into a home, you're providing affordable opportunities for them, and now you've taken an asset that's just sitting there and you're putting it to work. So when we started talking, originally I reached out to Regan and I was talking about, hey, I've been doing co-living and I've just been doing the single family. I own some small multifamily, but I want to learn about, what are you doing? Right.
Right.
And again, it's just being inquisitive and wondering and learning. And, I'm a retired educator, so I love to learn. I'm always excited to find out what are other people doing, and just talking with you and hearing about what you're doing and thinking, wait a minute, why can't we have all of these different things happening under one roof? Well,
Mhm.
you can, obviously. And so you're protecting yourself by having multiple strategies. You're not just relying on one strategy. I love that. um, you're bringing in a whole variety of different modalities and different people and experiences, and we're coming together. You're learning and growing. So I'm just really excited about this opportunity. As far as co-living goes, there's just, you guys will hear. I'll talk all about it.
Mhm.
There's just so many amazing opportunities throughout the country of where we can be supporting, whether it's workforce housing, whether it's,
Mhm.
our everyday workers, the people that, what I love to say, that are serving us every day. You go to
Mhm.
Starbucks, you might not realize that one of those baristas just woke up in their car.
Mhm.
They brushed their
Mhm.
hair and their teeth in the bathroom of their work. They came out to the counter and they're making your coffee.
Mhm.
Those are the people that we're putting into our co-living properties, right? So we're able to serve just so many more people this way.
Yeah, yeah, and
One of the interesting things too, I mean, like Benjamin was saying, this is such a new concept that, I mean, like literally this is the beginning, very close to the beginning of this conversation. But something that occurred to me as you were saying that, Tracy, is that that we haven't talked about this yet. But one of the really cool things about going multifamily with this concept and making it kind of cross different strategies is the fact that, especially if you get into larger multifamily, chances are at any given time you're going to have a vacancy, or, we'll have one coming up soon. That opens up a lot of doors to really be able to help in a different way. When you think about nonprofits or the VA, or, specific entities that might have urgent needs, sometimes, like if you think about domestic violence, for example, you
Right.
might have a woman and her kids that need to get out of a situation fast, and
Yesterday.
nonprofits need to have a place to send them. So as you think about, as we evolve this and this becomes more of a reality, I mean, that opens up some possibilities that we
yeah.
haven't even talked about.
Then
Right.
it's a fantastic way that we're approaching this. I think like two things that I hear from ladies. One is we are here solving the problems from a
Mhm.
completely different angles. There are people talking about, hey, we really need a lot more housing. I agree
Mhm.
with everybody who are saying that, hey, we need more supply. But the thing is, there's only so many people who can go out and build houses, and there's only so many people willing to go out and build houses with the interest rate, level right now,
Right.
right? So what can we do with the existing resources and make it more efficient and make it more, impactful for to house more people? Now, this is how I see this. Co-living is a magic access strategy. Midterm rental is also the other superpowers that
Mhm.
Reagan has, that we can, exit, from a certain house. And when I say access, people in the community who understand what I'm talking about, but essentially that's coming from an investor perspective.
Mhm.
When we're looking at a property, we think about, okay, we can buy the property. However, what are we going to do about it? Is it going to be short-term rental? It's going to be midterm rental or long-term rental, co-living, or assist livings, or all that other, possibility. But today we're talking about how do we gain the scale at the same time we are not compromising the efficiency of the housing. So look across, the multifamily, right? And we're not talking about
Mhm.
2 doors, 3 doors, 4 doors. We're talking about like 20 doors, 50 doors, 60 doors, 100 doors of apartment complexes. Majority of the apartment complexes only operate with one exit strategy, and that is long-term rental.
Mhm.
And it's completely fair for them to do that because it's easier for them to manage, and the professional team has, all these experience knowing, oh, if it's a long-term rental lease, it's going to be like operated this way, and how do we handle a tenant, all that. That has been around for decades, which is amazing. However, we are seeing the vacancy creeping up, and specifically in the few market that we're looking at, like DFW. The vacancy are creeping up, and long-term rental operator, they have no ideas what they can do other than giving incentive, other than doing more marketing and all that. But at the same time, we're not tapping into the superpowers of
Mhm.
midterm rental and co-living. Reagan,
Yeah.
you were going to say something.
Yep, sorry about that. So one of the things that's really cool that I think we might have touched on briefly when we spoke before, but to me is kind of part of the brilliant part about this strategy is that I think the knee-jerk reaction from almost any investor is to buy a property, and even if you're not fixing and flipping it, if you're buying and holding, but doing some extent of renovations. But when you start thinking about how we can best serve these needs for affordable housing, the reality is so many times you actually don't need to do renovations, or what you need to do
Right.
is minimal, because number one, that's only going to add complexity to your project. It's going to drag things out. It's going to make you need different financing. It's going to have, it's going to give you that vacancy in between too, because you've got to have that time to get the work done. But when you start thinking about some of the needs around affordable housing, granite countertops really are not important. Do we really need to renovate these apartments? Or actually, it's okay to have some that are renovated and some that aren't, because the reality is, in order to be able to pay for that, you have to increase the rent. So you have to think about what really matters to the people
Yeah.
you're trying to house.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to add to that because I think that is one of the things that's so unique about what we're talking about is that people are in different stages in their journey
Mhm.
around the housing they need. The mom you talked about, the single mom with kids in domestic violence, she does not care where she sleeps. Now, I'm not saying we want to put people in homes that are, that are falling apart and that kind of thing, but she doesn't care about what the countertops look like. She
Right.
wants to have a safe, warm place for her children. That's all a mom cares about. So we have to be really mindful, I think, about that, about providing a variety of opportunity, right?
Mhm.
Eventually, that mom is going to get on her feet. And in a year or two from now, she might have the luxury to go shop around and look at apartments. And then she can choose how she wants to spend her money. I'm okay spending an extra $100 a month because I want that beautiful remodeled apartment. Or
Mhm.
she might say, no, I'm going to choose to save for college for my kids. And I'm okay with Formica
Mhm.
countertops. So we have to really, as investors, be mindful of what people need. I hear it in co living, especially. I hear a lot of those conversations. How could you put people in a home where there's wall air, window air conditioners, you need whole house HVAC, you need to rehab to this standard. Sure, there's some. I have properties that are brand new and gorgeous and they have quartz countertops, granite countertops. Love it. But I also have some that don't, because there's a need for both.
Absolutely. So I think we today we want to share with everybody that there's a new concept that we have come together, and this new concept essentially is basically inheriting our creative spirit from our creative world,
Yeah.
right? If we can acquire things creatively, what is stopping us from operating creatively, right?
Right.
Co-living was a creativity's extensions and midterm rental as well. So essentially, this is a new concept that we're talking about getting a basically helping the existing large multifamily, say 100 doors.
Mhm.
We have the superpower to come in to fill up the vacancy with some creative exit strategy, including midterm rental and also including co-living. So this is how we envisioned the world is going to turn into. All the existing housing, no matter it's apartment complexes or the single family, eventually it's going to reach a level of the most efficient housing arrangement, whether it's a co-living or midterm rental or anything else. But we wanted to break into this industry where the large multifamily operator, they have been stuck in their mind that, oh, the NOI is at this level, therefore this property only worth this, right?
Right.
And people keep talking about, hey, because you will not be able to bring the occupancy even higher, therefore this is somewhat the max of the value of the building. And that's when we can come in and do some of our magic. We can come in and say, hey, according to the market study, we realized that in this market, there are, say, 30% of the need from midterm rental, and there's another 30% of need from co-living. Why don't we convert, or at least start with the vacant unit and start renting those units out with co-living or midterm rentals? When that happens, you're talking about much higher rental income, because typically co-living makes more revenue and midterm rental also makes more revenue. And that actually create a win-win-win scenario, right? For co-living, we get to house more people. For midterm rental, we get to house more people. And also for the apartment complex, it create a massive opportunity to bring up the NOI, like net operating income. And you all know what that means. When NOI go up higher, that means the property become way more valuable. So that is actually something that we wanted to share with everybody. If you happen to own a large multifamily, send it our way. We'll be happy to help you boost up your revenue.
Yeah.
And we actually have exists playbook that we know exactly what to do. And leveraging co-living, leveraging midterm rentals, we get to boost your NOI up. And guess what? Your property would worth way more. And with that said, if you guys happen to have some multifamily deals that does not work for long-term rental, right? If you just work on a number and underwrite it and it just doesn't work, that's okay. Send it to us. You can send the deals to us, in like one of us, and we should probably like leave some context info for people. But for people who know us, you know how to reach us.
Yeah, you could DM on Instagram. Benjamin and I have our Instagram up there. Either one
Thank
of
you
us.
so
You
much.
can find Regan on Instagram as well. It's a great way to
Yes.
Yeah.
connect.
I had too many characters when I tried to add my handle in there, and I hit the limit, so I couldn't put it. But it's just my name altogether, just Reagan Sonovan. So easy enough.
Awesome. We now have a question. So would this be a sublease? That is a great question. And
It's a
honestly
great
speaking, we're not even worrying about it now, right? I mean, it could be a sublease, it could be something else. And like I said, this is a new concept that we just getting started. We talked about this a weeks ago, and then we decided to share to the public because we think that will address the problems quickly. So people who are out there, we have not figured out what that exactly going to look like, but
That's right.
we will figure it out,
That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
right?
I
And
love
we
that.
and also we have a strong kickstart because we have existing co-living midterm rentals, best practices, so we know exactly what we need to do, and whether it's a sublease, whether that's some sort of other structure, we'll figure it out. And I really love this method because with like me focusing on acquisitions, when I acquire deals, I get to customize a structure that would fit the seller and also fit the best exit strategy. However, this is our time to start being creative for operation. And so we want to put the information out there for people who own large multifamily and you're struggling with operation, meaning vacancy. Please reach out to us because we would have the solution for you. And of course, we started to have some discussions and also some things established in terms of market research study.
Hmm.
Ultimately, we'll have a perfect formula to say, hey, your property should have X percentage of midterm rental, Y percentage of co-living, and Z percentage of long-term rental, which collectively is your optimized NOI.
Hmm.
Just with this approach,
Hmm.
the entirety of the multifamily asset is going to be revalued.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So true. And thinking about how when we, first had this conversation, and just like Benjamin said, I mean, it was like a week, 10 days ago, maybe something
Right.
like that. And, we just ended up having a Zoom where we were, connecting and kind of catching up on what one another was doing and figuring that out. And then next thing you know, there was a multifamily property that we already had been taking a look at that we're like, let's look at this together. Let's figure out how this can work. And, it wouldn't be necessarily immediately obvious to anybody that all these things are going to fit together in one project. But once, we started having that conversation, it was just like, wow, this is actually pretty magical.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
absolutely.
really
Tracy.
is. Yeah. So I see Daniel's got a great question. How does the pad split program fit into the concept? I'm so glad you asked that question, Daniel, because a couple of things. I want to first explain what pad split is and does. I get a lot of folks that will come to me and say, what's the difference between co living and pad split? Well, pad split is a company who started out as a marketing company and they were marketing rent by the room. So think of like Furnish Finder. um, that's kind of what they started as. As they evolved, they saw a need to create a larger platform where they could support the owners of these co-living
Mhm.
properties, to manage the tenants, to help do the rental applications and to help get a good fit of people in the homes, that sort of thing. Then as co-living started to take off, this was in Atlanta. I want to say they've been 10 plus years in business now. They started in Atlanta. There are some rules around the number of individuals in a single family home. So multifamily, what's really cool is it just takes away that problem. But when you're in a single family home, every city and county has rules around how many unrelated individuals can live under a roof. So pad split created this model where each home is an actual entity, and the people that live in the home are members of the entity. So it's a little way around that law or those regulations. And so as co-living became more and more popular, that's how pad split sort of went from just marketing to picking up all these other pieces. Okay.
Mhm.
So currently today, people utilize pad split to help market their property and help manage the tenants, getting them into the property. And then they work alongside a property manager. So when you're looking at a single family home, you're talking about paying pad split fees and a property manager fee. Now, I do exclusively use pad split on all of my single family co-living. In this scenario, I would not, because it's such a unique scenario. I think that we would probably we'd be having our own marketing, kind of to
Mhm.
Ben's point, right? We've got this creative operations now. We're thinking more
Mhm.
strategic about how can we get this all under one roof, right? Because we're going to need a property manager that can manage all the different pieces of the puzzle,
Mhm.
right? They're going to have some people coming in for a month, 2, 3 months at a time. We're going to have people that are in for, rent by the room, a week, a month, 2 months. So it's a whole, it's going to be really unique. But
Mhm.
Ralph, I think it was Ralph that asked that question, or Daniel, sorry. I don't see how Pad Split's current model would be able to support something this unique. Now, maybe that's something they'll evolve into as this grows, but I see this being a great opportunity for somebody that is a Pad Split property manager and you want to expand. Maybe you've done some midterm rental property management as well. You've got this great opportunity to come in and say, I want to learn this new strategy and I want to be your go-to person.
Mhm.
This is so good.
Mhm.
We talk a lot about the potential possibilities,
Mhm.
and I actually got someone who asked me the questions. Okay, if you guys are just putting the concept out there, what is stopping us from just going out and do the same concept,
Mhm.
right? Like anybody listening to our conversation right now, and I'll put it out there: be free to steal our concept and go out and kill it.
Yes, please.
Please do so.
Yes. But
Okay.
share with us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. Please tag us and just put content out there and go steal our playbooks and go
Yes,
do it.
please.
And because what I can tell you is this is just going to be the beginning of a hundreds of $1 billion of improvements in the real estate industry. And I sincerely believe that ultimately we need people from a different expertise and different backgrounds to bring
Mhm.
in their magic. In this scenario, three of us, we all bring in some individual nuances and also our magic to really boil this into a new business model that is going to not just make sense for investor, but also will drastically improve the housing shortage and also be creative and actually create a win-win-win scenario. So please steal our playbooks. Just tag us so we can see your story.
Yeah. Good,
So
because
true.
it's all about the collaboration and learning from each other, which is why we're so comfortable saying, you know what, we've been talking about this for 2 weeks and we're just going to go live, and you guys will watch our progression, and that's how we
Mhm.
all learn and grow. And you're going to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly from today to whenever, but that's how we grow together and learn together. So yes,
It's
share.
not a direct path. That's the thing.
No.
We're kind of going to figure this out as we go. And like both Tracy and Benjamin were saying, we do come in with unique expertise. So we've got the major bases covered, but I guarantee you there will be some unexpected things that will come up along the way that we'll have to figure out. For example, I've heard the question posed in the past, depending on like who you've got in a particular property, are there, different types of
Mhm.
individuals that may not want to, share a space? And, as far as, specific needs, or we even use that example of domestic violence. People that have been through that kind of trauma may have their preferences, not be comfortable in certain situations. Or sometimes you have lower income people that may not want to be in the same space with someone that's looking for a higher end property. And of course they're not going to naturally be together, but you might have different levels of finishes, like we were talking about, some renovated, some unrenovated units, things like that. So I think that we'll have questions that will come up along the way that we'll have to figure out and navigate.
Yeah.
And, also just, trying to think about those things that are not like, really obvious or like written in stone anywhere. Like how do we navigate those underlying things that will impact people's desire to be in a particular property?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is how we want to proceed. We would like you all to basically enjoy the journey with us.
Hmm.
This is the beginning of a journey, and we wanted to start with basically playing with the numbers on the existing multifamily deal that we have owned, and also some upcoming acquisitions we may be making. So for you all, again, if you have a multifamily that you own and you're struggling with vacancy and whatnot, please reach out to us, and let me put an email up there. And this is my email. We came on non-prepared. So just email us, and we may bring that deals to the life here,
Hmm.
and we'll collectively look at the market, and we'll do analysis, and we'll show you guys what we think from a different perspective, like midterm rental, co-living,
Love that.
perspective, and see what we can maximize the NOI,
Yeah.
right?
Ralph had
But
a great comment real quick, Ben, to your point. Ralph says, "Hey, I own some co-living, I own some sober living, and I'm trying to figure out that approach to large multifamily." So please
Mhm.
reach out to us, Ralph, and if you have a project you're looking at and you want us to kind of rip through it with you, that's what we want to do together. So you can email Ben, and we'll be happy to take a look at that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
To the end of the day, we're trying to figure out this new method. And of course, we would love to partner up and do deals with you all. Um, Really, to the end of the day, collectively, we can do more. And this is why there's a collective word in our name, right? Collective NOI booster, right? Well, I mean, when we have, say, a couple of deals in the pipelines, we may be able to figure out, oh, to put co-living or midterm rentals into those larger assets,
Mhm.
it may create some sort of problem. For example, what we can think about right now is someone just talked about whether it's a sublease or what type of leasing, arrangement that would be. Also, insurance, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of different liability that we can
Right.
we can already foresee. With all that, we're going to document, and we're going to find a solution gradually and be creative solving all these problems. To the end of the day, those are problems to solve, and we love the problem that we get to solve.
Yeah. And what's so fun about doing it this way? Insurance, let's just take that as an example. We know that's going to take time to figure out who are our best carriers to go to, who's going to become our go-to carriers to get quotes on. And my hope is that we're going to have people on here that are going to share, I had a great experience with this company or that company, or here was my experience over here. And we're going to be sharing the same thing. And again, that's just how we can learn and grow together and make this just become more successful.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
maybe even some insurance like companies owner who came to us and say, "Hey, I love the model. Let me write a policy for you guys."
That's right.
Right?
Yes,
So if you
that's
are
right.
one of these people, please reach out, because this is a brand new thing. And when we do something brand new, there's a lot of puzzle that we need the whole world to actually come together and make this into
Yeah,
reality.
yeah, indeed, indeed. That's great.
So, in terms of like midterm rental, Reagan, do you want to talk more about how you envisions, in terms of like larger multifamily can benefit in terms of corporate housing, insurance, and all that?
Sure. Well, definitely thinking about the types of properties that we would be looking at, and where this concept originally came from. I think what fits together is more of a B class property for these concepts and strategies to work together. And so when you think about the type of corporate housing that would make sense for that, I tend to think more of workforce housing, which actually can be a variety of different things. It could be travel medical professionals. It can be construction workers. Both of you know that I've been putting a lot of emphasis on the data center boom, for some time now, and looking at, where a lot of that is taking place. And you've got, all different types of workers that need housing that's project based. And so, from that perspective, that's who I would imagine within the arena of what I typically see as corporate housing. And of course, you've got different kind of verticals within that. I don't think it's something that's as much of a fit for executive relocation or consultants, that type of housing. It could be a fit for government housing. My corporate housing business is in the GSA multiple award schedule. So that's, something else that would be another possibility. But definitely workforce of all different varieties, people that are relocating, and then insurance could be. So, and when Benjamin said insurance, that's what I was thinking, not what
Right.
Tracy was thinking. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It could be a fit for that, depending on what the need is.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I gotcha.
Just depending on the size of the units. I mean, one of the things you see in multifamily is that 3 bedrooms are hard to come by. And that's what a lot of people that have an insurance housing request are looking for, a 3 bedroom, because it's a family that's been coming from a home. And usually someone coming from a single family home doesn't want to go into an apartment. However, sometimes what they want in the location they want isn't available. So if your choice is staying in a hotel for 6 months or staying in an apartment for 6 months, they'd probably take the apartment. So I think, kind of reverse engineering that, and us figuring out how the different pieces fit together and what types of personas would be looking for the level of housing at any given property. That's part of what we've got to figure out as we go here.
Yes, absolutely. Tracy, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think what's interesting too is when you look at the workforce housing, right? Let's say, take example, they're, building a new data center,
Mhm,
and we're housing the people that are helping build the data center. Once
mhm,
the data center is up and running, the
mhm,
employees now need somewhere to live. And that's where the co-living comes into place, because, these are the type of, your Amazon warehouses, your large data centers, big medical centers. These are where your co-living residents come from. And
mhm.
so they really just go together so wonderfully. It excites me just to think of how we can house so many different people and along so many different, processes in the development of a community as communities grow and build.
This is such an amazing concept, and you guys just make me spins on my head that there are additional things that we can do. Say if one day we have this library of a larger apartment complexes in different area,
Mhm,
and as we track where data center move, we get to have ideas on where we're expecting to have a boom in terms of housing demand,
mhm,
and we can even um, basically proactively make some arrangement in terms of maybe we reduce some long-term rentals, percentage, and temporarily, or basically we just don't renew as many long-term rental, and
mhm,
basically have it funnel to more like a co-living or midterm rentals kind of need, and that will also help the local investor to boost up their NOI. So to the end of the day, I feel like this is a data that we need to track, meaning not just knowing where the demand is going to be, but also having a supply understanding on, okay, in this area we actually know that there's a lot of apartment complex in in our network that we can potentially play with. But at the same time, we also can help the owners of these apartment complexes enjoy the boom, or tapping into those opportunities. And now it's data center.
mhm.
Who know what the next wave will be?
Right.
For
Right.
sure. And the
Great.
interesting thing, like Tracy was saying, is, you've got first the construction, which depending on the size of a data center is likely between 5 and 10 years, closer to 10 for the big ones. And yes, the number of employees is less after it's open. That's just the way data centers work. What I've found in some of the data centers that we're looking at and have worked with, when it's under construction, it might be about 3,000 workers. It might drop down to about 1,000 once it's open because of the automation that's in place. However, what you find is that that still creates its own ripple effect, because when you add 1,000 people to an area, they need to shop, they need, restaurants, they need all of those different things. So it does create its own little kind of system there.
Ecosystem, yeah.
Right. Right,
Mhm.
right. And the thing that's so neat is that you can take, let's say you start out as the data center's being built, and you've got a majority of the housing is midterm rentals
Hmm.
because that's we're supporting the growth or the building rather.
Right.
Then, as the building is complete or as it's getting close and you have less and less need for midterm, now you build a few more out as co-living.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just really a neat way. And you can build co-living so that you don't have the walls aren't so permanent that you can't take them
Mhm.
down and shift things around. So if the need changes again, maybe they're building a big Amazon warehouse now because like you said, the
Yep.
community is growing, and maybe we're taking a couple that were long term, we're turning them back into a midterm, we're taking some of the co-living and we're breaking some of the walls down and turning them into midterm. You can do so much with this. There's a lot of flexibility. Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's some great questions. Daniel
Um,
said section 8, would this be also interesting? Yeah, again, there's just so many different ways that we can be supported. Regan has a lot of experience with those government contracts. And I think similarly, Section 8 is another avenue that I haven't done any Section 8 housing, but
Me
I'm very
either.
interested in learning more. Yesterday, I was actually just talking to somebody. I live in an apartment building, and we were riding the elevator together and we were chit chatting, and she's in a Section 8 apartment. And long story short, she was sharing with me just that process and what that looks like. And I said, gosh, I really need to dive into that and learn more in this area. I would love to offer. It just opens up the pool of applicants that you have for your rentals. Yeah.
You
So
this
the
poor
is so
thing
sky's the
living in an apartment building in Hawaii. Oh,
heaven,
Talk
heaven.
to my dog about that. My dog will
no.
tell you how awful it is.
Yeah.
It's a different
No.
experience for pets, actually. That's a whole different thing too.
It's a different experience for me.
Mhm.
I've never really lived full time, and I've had this place for several years and came, several weeks, couple months at a time, but living full time, yeah, it's just a whole different experience. But like you said, I'm in Hawaii and I can walk to the beach, so I am
Yes,
definitely not
absolutely.
complaining, my friends.
Yeah.
I
For
love
Yeah.
it. Let's
sure.
see. Ralph has some questions too, I think. Let's see.
Yeah. Is there a way to get a list of long? Let me just show it on the screen.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Is there a way to get a list of long-term hotel rental in an area? This would give us ideas. Yeah. So, like, absolutely, like, hotel is certainly one thing that can facilitate housing. So, to the end of the day, it's the supplies and the type of different supplies. It could be large multifamily, it could be hotels, it could be even single family portfolio, right? But the main reason why we want to focus on large multifamily is because large multifamily currently is operating in a very singular way in terms of fulfilling the housing need, right?
Mhm.
A lot of time people think about how we can add thing to the problem to solve the problem, but we rarely think about how we can be more efficient, right? So this is actually our approach. We wanted to oh and also for people who are listening in, this is a conversation that we're going to have every week from now on, right? Because there's so many to talk about. We're not just going to talk about the deals or the specific projects. We're also one day going to talk about a potential, first investor who are looking for their first deal,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
We talk about that, and we wanted to make sure that this type of new concept, which will have massive upside, will be available for someone who just looking for their first deal,
And
right?
I think that's what's really cool about it, because I mean, today it's more just us talking and introducing the concept, but the intent is to be more interactive as time goes on, and bring some deals that you think might be interesting. Like Benjamin said, if you're looking for your first deal and this is not something that you would be able to tackle on your own, then work with us. There's a lot of opportunities. Many of you are familiar with the Orbit program and, even bird dogging. There's a lot of different ways that you can be involved in this type of project alongside us and learn with us
Right.
as we go through something together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, look
And
at,
what
I mean, we're here. Sorry, Matt. We're here together for that reason. I don't want to tackle. I have a duplex. That's as big as my multifamilies is duplex. I don't want to tackle a 20, 30, 50 unit by myself. No,
Hmm.
thank you. So again, that's why we're here together. Yeah.
And it
yeah,
goes back to that who, not how. So, you don't have to like try to figure something like this out on your own. You bring in the right people to, complete
Yeah.
everything that's needed to have
That's it.
that in place to support a project like this.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And since this is a new concept, there are a lot of things that we need to figure out, including like paperwork, right? There are things that we need to come up or work with some sort of a
Sure.
attorney to figure it out. And none of us, I don't, at least I don't think so. None of us have the expertise, right?
Right.
So if you happen to be a TC or someone who's so good on paperwork and get excited about these ideas, reach out to us, and you can always email us and connect with us, right? Through our DM and whatnot. That's come together and put this new business model together. This will not just benefit the investor, but also will benefit actually solving a big problem for the country.
But
Yeah.
that's another point too. I mean, we haven't talked about that, but as we, start having real deals in the pipeline, the reality is, we would potentially have something we would put on fractional and would take investors. So it would be a
Yeah.
great opportunity. I know, Tracy, you've done that quite a bit with your co-livings, and Benjamin, you've done
Yeah.
it with laundromats. So,
Yeah.
as we start to have real deals that are starting to look, like they're happening, there will be opportunities to participate in that way too.
And we
Yeah.
actually have something even cooler than that. It's not just the fractional, typical capital partner kind of deals. We are figuring out a new model that you can actually own the one specific unit of
Mhm.
a large apartment complex with us. While we provide the guidance of either co-living or midterm rentals, we are also going to basically maintain the entirety of the building, while you have very minimal to take care of. Comparing with a single family, right? Having a single family, you have roof, multiple walls, utility, and all that thing you need to take care of. And having a specific small unit in apartment complex, it may require even lower entry level for any person who are just trying to get into real estate, because that's the other problem. A lot of people are trying to get into real estate and they think they need millions and millions of dollars. We
Mm,
want to break that too.
that's right. Yeah, I recently closed in the last 6 months. I closed on five co-living projects. Three of them are brand new construction. Two were your
Mhm.
traditional single family converted. All five of those, I was able to, and my team and I, to pay ourselves, to pay our team, have some ownership in the projects, no
Mhm.
money out of pocket. And so this is real. You can truly do this. Could I have done it alone? No, it took a whole variety of people. It took a whole team to make it all happen.
And you don't want to do
But
it alone, right?
no, no, absolutely not. No,
I mean,
it's
each of us has different expertise, and none of
no,
us can do this alone if we were to just tackle it, right? I mean, this is why we so enjoy doing things inside the creative community,
yeah,
because people are open minded and people have different background expertise. Sorry to cut
yeah.
you off, Tracy. Please go on.
No, no, please. No, that's great. And I also wanted to touch on, you know, the funding part, right? The raising capital. That is scary to people. Yeah, one of the things, Pace says this all the time. He says, find the money before the deal. And I think when I first started, I thought, find the money before the deal. Like, I don't even know what deals I'm going to find. What are you talking about? Well, it finally clicked. What it is you need to start building these relationships with people. You need to start um, getting to know people in the community and understand, what do people have, what do people need, and organically you become kind of a connector. And before you know it, you're able to reach out to people and support people. That is the magic recipe right there for learning how to raise capital, in my opinion. I'm sure Ben, you can, please, and Regan, we've all raised a lot of capital. Um, but it all starts from building relationships, connecting with people, getting on Zooms like this, or live calls, and being in the chat and getting to meet people. Because I was really surprised at was not easy. I'm not going to use the word easy. It's a lot of work
Mhm.
raising capital. It's a lot of time, and in one-on-ones with folks, which I love, but it is time consuming and it is a lot of work. But when you lay the foundation early on, I was so surprised to see when I went back and looked through who were the people that had invested. These are people that I met 2, 3 years ago. And
Mhm.
I would get on a Zoom and go, wow, I just wanted to like reconnect. We haven't talked in a couple of years. And it's just amazing to see, like, you remembered me. And the people would say, Tracy, you connected me with so and so. I still work with them. I have X amount of projects with them. People remember when you take the time to invest in them, and to support their growth in a way that isn't, you're not doing it because you want something. You're just doing it to be helpful, to be a go-giver, to be thoughtful. So anyway, I just wanted to speak to that because we're going to teach you that just via watching us and learning from us, because we will need to raise capital. Even though we're talking about creative deals, you still need capital for some things, and on some projects. So, just staying part of this conversation with us, you're going to learn about the importance of raising capital and how to do that.
Well, I think that piece of it too, like, and I love that example of, that you find that these investors have sometimes been people that you met years ago and, maybe did some small thing
Yes.
along the way. But, I'll sometimes be at a meetup and I'll meet people and I'm always amazed when they say, oh, I've been in the community for a year and a half and I haven't done a deal yet, that kind of situation. This is
Yeah.
a big part of who that's for, because if you've got that degree of analysis paralysis where you've been in the community for a year and a half and you haven't done a deal yet, then you need a nudge and you need someone to take you by the hand and help you with that. And so, this is definitely a great way to do that. And I know for myself, I've definitely personally invested in Tracy's deals and other deals within the community. And in my case, I did it using my directed IRA. And so it was actually super painless, which is, just such a cool opportunity to utilize that and put so many different things together in order to, really get involved and learn firsthand from watching someone else do a type of project that I wouldn't be doing on my own.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We also wanted to make sure that this is something that we're putting together, and we can break it down to a level that people who are new to real estate, they can understand it so easily. Not that it's simple, but it's we want to make sure that you can understand easily, and let's do the deal together. It's way more than you going out and just invest in some other projects that you don't even have a clue on what that is, right?
Right.
And Reagan just talked about the IRA, investment, all that. Like, for people who are listening, if you have never touched your 401k or IRA,
Mhm.
these are the money that are being used by someone you don't really know on something that you don't really understand.
That's right.
And so,
Institutional money, that's where most of it is, unless you.
exactly, and they are
Yeah.
setting this rule for you to encourage you not to touch it until you're 65 years old, which essentially asking you to allow them to use your money for so many years.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And so think about what you're trying to accomplish. If you are a W-2 worker, if you are someone who's employed and you work so hard and you're trying to just get by, make more money and all that, what is stopping you from taking your money back and
Yeah.
put that into something that is operate way more smarter and also more efficient, and also build your asset, or basically add things into your asset column, right? So
Yeah.
this is why we want to start this in such an early timeline. We wanted to basically bring you guys along the way to understand, okay, how it came up, or how we collectively come up with these ideas, right? and what we can do collectively together is something that we all will be proud of.
That's right. I
For
want to
sure.
touch on the self-directed IRA. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm extremely passionate about helping people learn how to take their IRAs, which, as you said, Benjamin, is your money. This is your hard-earned money that you are letting other people use. Other people are making money off of your money. Take that back. So please, if you want to learn about self-directed IRAs, reach out to me, DM me on Instagram, please, at Tracy Koa. It's funny you mentioned it. Just last night before bed, I was journaling about, December for me is always that month where I'm getting really clear on what is happening
Mhm.
Q1 the next year. What is my main focus? And one of them is I really, truly want to start creating more content around how to support people using their IRA and turning it into a self-directed IRA. So you'll start seeing a lot more content about that. But I'd love to support you in the meantime because I have two. I've on average I bring in 10 to 12% return, which is the S&P 500 over the last 10 years on average is 8 to 9%. So I'm beating that. I'm not giving my money to, some random person that I don't know to invest in stocks, mutual funds, bonds that I know nothing about. I'm
Mhm.
investing in things and communities and people that I know, and I love it. It feels great. So, yeah,
Well,
let me help
another
you
thing,
with
sorry,
that. No, you did.
that I thought about as you were saying that, and first, I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. None of us are, tax professionals, accountants,
Thank you very much.
like that.
Far from it.
But, when you think about another opportunity of people that might be interested in investing in somebody else's deal, you've got high wage earners that need the depreciation.
Yes.
So you've got that, but then, also you've got people who really are curious. They might have been watching and following different content about investing for a long time, but they don't have the bandwidth to really immerse themselves in learning
Right.
what they need to learn. So they're
Yeah.
really curious and they want to do it, but they're not quite ready to do it. And so that's another great way to get involved, especially for those scenarios where it is either, directed IRA or getting the depreciation. I can definitely think of a lot of folks I know that have, used those different scenarios. And again, myself personally using my
Yeah.
directed IRA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great point.
I mean, we do want to keep our conversation times. We
Yep.
have
Yeah.
3 more minutes, but before we wrap up, what are the things you guys looking forward to,
Hmm.
with this journey, and what do you guys expect people will be getting from this conversation? Maybe Tracy, you go first.
Yeah, well, for me, of course, I love co-living. So what I'm really hoping is that anybody that has considered co-living, and I meet a lot of people, they get kind of stuck on the hamster wheel, right? And it's like, I just, is it going to work? Does it not work? This is a great opportunity to not just learn about co-living, learn about midterm rentals, kind of expand your mind out of just that single family scenario where you've been maybe stuck spinning your wheels. Because honestly, guys, taking a single family home and turning it into co-living isn't as easy as it sounds. The numbers don't always work. It really doesn't. So you're going to learn organically from this how to do single family if that's what you choose. But I think it's going to be exciting for people that are just getting going to right out of the gate look bigger. Open your mind to something bigger. And yeah, so
Awesome.
I'll end
So
it
good.
there.
Reagan.
Well, for me, I'm just excited about I can't quite find the right word, but just adding a different layer of foundation around a way to approach multifamily that is really, really non-traditional. But aside from that, what I've found, especially as my corporate housing business has done more and more workforce housing, what I've recognized is that there are a lot of folks that are doing, utilizing workforce housing that are essentially in a co-living scenario, but sometimes they're challenged because they're constantly reconfiguring crews. Like maybe there's 3 guys this month, but then somebody is now off the job for one reason or another. They move on to another job and they're reconfiguring.
Right.
And so I've just observed that. And so to have the ability to actually place people directly into a co-living so that, it's just, it fits the needs that they have. For me personally, I'm just really excited about learning that, because I recognize that there is some relationship between co-living and midterm rental, but they are two distinct and different things. And so kind of figuring out as we go how this can work for that scenario, I'm personally very excited about that.
So good. I will summarize this. You follow our journey alone. You will learn about co-living from Tracy Koa. You're going to learn midterm rental from Reagan. And hey, they typically don't have time to just mentor people. Okay, so if you follow alone, we're going to solve problem live. We're going to deal with deals live, and you get to learn from them. And ideally, you will get paid from the learning process, right?
That's right.
The last thing I want to talk about was, if you happen to join us, you would also learn how we can structure the not just the deal, but also operations creatively, and that would be from me.
One
I
last
hope.
thing I'll interject real quick if I can. I'm sorry, I just thought about that
Please.
as we were going. And that is this concept of the fact that we're going to be looking at real deals live. So the other way that that can benefit folks, especially folks that are new, is understanding as we're going through deals, why a deal does or does not work. Because so often I know we all get deals from bird dogs, from wholesalers, and they're like, this is solid, here's the scenario. But understanding where we start to peel the layers of the onion back and see where there are things that aren't what they seem like on the surface, and, kind of deconstructing that. So I think it will really benefit people from a underwriting perspective as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
I love that
so
you said that. Yeah.
So for this week, if you own a large multifamily, you want us to see how it would work for this new business model, email us and we're going to bring it live next week.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to see you next week. Thank you all for
Thanks,
joining us.
everyone.
I
Everybody.
appreciate you, ladies.
Appreciate you guys.